Our city, like many others, has a symbolic and physical barrier of racist practices, left over from urban renewal and redlining. We call it the 9th Street Divide. How was this division created, and what's being done to help change the area? We'll take a look on this episode of the 502 Report. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the 502 Report. There are physical changes coming to the Russell neighborhood and the 9th Street corridor. Many people are working to remove the barriers left behind from redlining to create a new image for the area.
As we all know, 9th Street has been sort of this physical, psychological barrier between West Louisville and downtown and other neighborhoods. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of the gateway. It really is what you see, what you have to cross over to get into West Louisville. So it's pretty catalytic in the sense that if we're addressing 9th Street, I think we're really making a big statement.
What the urban renewal plan did from say 1930 to 1960 did in West Louisville was it essentially became an imposed barrier, and every city has these. It was recommended by the federal government to impose these to really divide neighborhoods based on race and class, and it was recommended initially in the FHA's underwriting manual. I think it was 1938 talked about it. Urban renewal in the 60s basically leveled that entire area. I think there were maybe 3 buildings left standing from the 60s, the Quinn Chapel, the church on Chestnut Street that Samuel Plato designed, and another church Samuel Plato designed at 13th and Broadway. So 3 churches are really the only buildings left from that entire area. So the area now, it's an expanse of surface parking lot. To your left, if you're getting off 9th Street, and then to your right is Beecher Terrace. So what that neighborhood was essentially was that was the heart of the black community. It was the black community's commercial district, cultural and economic hub of Louisville, the Louisville black community. A high-speed expressway with an artificial barrier in the middle, like a berm, would protect, they used language, something like it would protect property from inharmonious racial groups. So that was actually the federal government advising neighborhoods on how to plan their cities, and then those recommendations was just sort of systemic in how cities were planned.
Okay. It's really about stitching the city back together. There's a real sort of wound there that needs to be stitched back together. And what we're looking at it is from the built environment, from the infrastructure of the streetscape. And so the reimagining 9th Street is primarily looking at pedestrian and other modal safety, but it's really working about what are our east-west connectors. How do we cross this? How do we use this as a meeting point or as a destination as opposed to just this large swath of roadway that we need to get from one side to the other?
We have definitely.
9th Street really bubbled up under Vision Louisville, which we did back in 2013, where we went out to the community and we got as many as 80,000 ideas as to what people wanted to see in the city and what changes or what their vision for the city was in the next 20, 30 years. We came up with 3 different options, but then the preferred option, which was putting this kind of linear park on one side and really creating some better connectivity at the intersections and creating more pedestrian crossings than we have today, was the one that the people were really wanting to see. It will be a much smaller roadway. It would have 2 lanes of traffic in either direction as opposed to the 4 lanes that you're seeing today. The median, which is so prominent in the middle of the corridor, is basically being moved to one side so that we're creating more of a linear park. While the median is nice, it's grassy, it's green, it's tree-lined, it's not accessible to pedestrians. So while it's nice while you're driving by it, nobody's really utilizing it. So by putting it on one side, we're able to program it and design it for people. We can put recreational facilities, we can have stormwater infrastructure, we can have tree canopies, we can have picnic areas, we can really design it for better use that can be used by the people that are living around and on the corridor.
I think the plan and I think the project will really accomplish, based on its own goals and objectives, what it really sets out to do in reconnecting that neighborhood. It's going to make crossing 9th Street a lot safer. It's going to create a lot of the livability metrics and that planners talk about and the quality of life metrics. But the people that lived in Beecher Terrace will not necessarily benefit from that. I think the deeper issue is to make sure that those voices make it into the dialogue and are represented in some form.
one of the reasons that we also were very interested in doing 9th Street at this time is that there's so many other things going on around it that that tends to be a catalyst for one project kind of spurring another to spurring another. I mean, we've got 9th Street, we're redoing Beecher Terrace, we've got the Choice Neighborhood Initiative, we have the Bus Rapid Transit, Dixie Highway, which will be running up and down 9th Street, a number of other initiatives that are going on in the Russell neighborhood. We've got Waterfront Park Phase 4, we're extending River Road West, that's another connector that will be kind of going beyond 9th Street, and the Knot, which is a public art project that's going to be right underneath the 9th Street underpasses. So there's just a lot of kind of momentum, a lot of good energy going on in trying to do exactly this, bridging and the gap and stitching the city back together.
Take a look at the plans for the area and share your own ideas by going to louisvilleky.gov and searching Reimagine 9th Street. One of the biggest issues is drawing people from the museums on Main Street to the businesses and attractions across 9th. And one of the very first projects in this area offers a creative solution.
PNS Gallery, how may we help you?
We primarily represent African American imagery, anywhere from abstract to landscape to figurative. For so many years, we were the first retail business beside Caulfield to really come this direction. There's a lot of good stuff on this side of 9th Street.
We are setting the first couple of pieces of Louisville Knot.
Yeah, it's the one that's called the Knot, the neon light that was kind of wrapped up like a puzzle.
The first one's always the hardest. So we're getting it spec'd out. Once we get this one rolling, we'll be on like Donkey Kong.
We are proud to be a part of this project. We really are.
Very interactive, engaging, hopefully piques some curiosity.
It's already come together a lot. The shop was just pieces of metal everywhere. In a period of just maybe a week and a half or so, it's all starting to come together.
It's going to hopefully pique the curiosity of people that are walking down the street, so that and the designs are just amazing. I can't wait to see it happen.
The whole knot signifies the unification between downtown and the West End and Portland, and it's a perfect project for us. Because we're in Portland. The revitalization of Portland, we're a big believer in that.
When you see this area in a few more months, it will be a lot different.
I think it's a great project. It's great for the city. It signifies a lot because that 9th Street Bridge right here behind us has always been the line between, you know, downtown and the West End or downtown in Portland.
There's an energy in the city, and it grows more and more with each year and each new development.
Ready for the journey to Charlotte?
Everybody join us on the sunny side of Louisville.
The Louisville Knot is expected to be finished later this year. Many residents have already left Beecher Terrace, so the buildings can be demolished and rebuilt. But as part of that process, we're also learning more about those who lived on that land many, many years ago.
This is one lot right here. I believe we're looking at 20. There's almost no place in downtown Louisville that if you peeled up the parking lot, you're not going to have historic features of some sort. Okay, let's do it. This was a pretty intensely developed neighborhood prior to 1939. And then all of that was demolished, and then they built Beecher Terrace. We're digging privies, and that's exciting. Anytime you have a historic development, there's going to be privies. At that depth, you usually get some pretty cool stuff. When it's actually in active use, things fall out of people's pockets and things like that. We found a pair of eyeglasses yesterday, so I'm sure somebody was a sad panda about that. It's an early medicine bottle. You can see how it's not fused very well, and it's a hinge mold. You can see the mold seam on the bottom. So, off to a good start.
On the front end, we try and do some archival research, and on the back end, there's washing all of these artifacts and labeling them all and cataloging them all and filling out the paperwork for the bags so that we can keep track of the context that all the artifacts are coming out of.
Stuff that caved in.
Sort of a little wall collapse over there for the first 2 levels, so I'm just making a new.
Yeah, why don't you put it over there and we'll kind of pick through it.
bag for the stuff that we're picking out of that. I feel like I've kind of gotten to know these residents in a way through the archival research and writing up information about the families that lived here. And
the lot we're standing in right now belongs to the Morris family, and Sheldon Morris, who is the uncle of Alexander Morris, who ended up living here for a really long time, was the first black entrepreneur in Louisville. They own this particular lot from at least the mid 1800s all the way through like 1920.
especially finding personal artifacts, like we found a little ivory die yesterday that had an initial on it. And, you know, I know a little bit about the family that lived on this lot, and I like to think about them like maybe playing games around the table or something like that. So I just like those little personal touches.
It's neat stuff. Yeah, it's an early lipping tool. You never know what's going to be under your feet. History is really important for kind of informing what's going on in today.
A redeveloped Beecher Terrace is just part of the investment for the nearby Russell community, and having more businesses and mixed-income residents will help the neighborhood thrive in the future.
The spirit of neighborhood is very strong as it relates to the people. The perception of public housing has always been socially a negative, but it puts a positive aspect into it when you actually live with people and experience that we're all in the same boat, we all got the same problems, and we all resolve these problems based on the tradition that we've been taught in the past. In order for the city to grow, neighborhoods have to grow and become self-sustaining. This particular core actually needs to be incorporated into the downtown. So we are beginning now to make that long journey. And we have to have people from all areas of social life in order to make our neighborhood whole.
The Russell revitalization is fascinating in the fact that all of a sudden you're able to get local citizens to think differently about the area that's located in our neighborhood here. So you're going to bring in residents of multifaceted careers, a diverse base of professionals in the area that are going to want to build independent homegrown businesses. You kind of have to have a synergy first, one location, and then build off of that with restaurants, bars, coffee shops. It definitely is a rising tide lifts all boats.
We have moved forward in planning and setting the stage for economic growth within the core of downtown to improve and expand it throughout the whole West End.
The success of this neighborhood is inextricably linked to the success of the greater city of Louisville. An existing public housing project, they're actually reinventing and revitalizing as mixed income housing, which they've shown through studies that actually revitalizes neighborhoods more quickly than any other approach.
A stable community and strong business activities within neighborhoods. As we develop the Housing Trust Fund, we're developing the means by which the city itself can promote the replacement of housing as needed and be able to provide the economic base for that next generation to be able to replace the homes, build the businesses that are necessary, that must be replaced, and move forward in blending in with the city. Laying that foundation is what Beecher Terrace is all about.
It's really exciting to be here. It's dynamic, it's energetic. When you're in Louisville, it has a very specific feel to it, and each of these neighborhoods does too. And all of a sudden, you're transported to the history of that place and the businesses that are thriving in that place. When you have an existing building stock of warehouses, other historical buildings that you can actually go into and revitalize, you build the new within that, but then you have this beautiful historic building to build around, a historic neighborhood to walk through.
Preparing the population socially to be civic minded and begin to see the city as a part of their life, as a part of their culture, and a part of the quality that they want to bring to their life. This is what this is really all about. It's about this preparing ourselves for a much better life and a much more productive life for all of our citizens.
The Quinn Chapel on West Chestnut is on the National Register of Historic Places for architecture that dates back as far as 1857. But since 2002, the structure has sat vacant and needs some repairs before returning to community use.
If a city is to be a fair city and a city that wants to take care of all its citizens, that all of Louisville looks nice, feels like the kind of place you want to live, you want to invest in, you want to shop in, we have to make those kind of investments past 9th Street.
Reimagining 9th Street is really providing better access to these neighborhoods in downtown and providing better amenities and services to the community.
If you go down 9th Street, it looks like things just haven't been invested into and that things have been allowed to kind of fall apart. Similar to what Quinn Chapel is looking like right now. You want Quinn Chapel to be beautiful so that as people are entering our city, whether you're new, you're first time visitor, you hit that 9th Street and you're like, wow, this is an amazing city.
The Quinn Chapel congregation moved here in 1910 and they moved out of the property in 2002. This building is so valuable to so many people in this community. They hold it so dear and it's an important piece of Louisville's history. Louisville Metro government applied for a grant through the National Park Service, and we were awarded that grant.
When does that wood get put over the stained glass?
So this money will be used for the stabilization of the structure so that then someone can come in and further go forward with the adaptive reuse.
The YMCA was very interested in the property for a couple of different reasons. One, the historic nature of Quinn Chapel, but also because this facility is landlocked. That was the natural opportunity to be able to grow programs and services that we offer in the community.
And it is my pleasure to welcome you to the official groundbreaking ceremony for the Republic Bank Foundation YMCA.
Our investment in West Louisville is twofold. We're also building on 17th and Broadway. And so we have a brand new facility that's going to be a focus on health equity. So we're excited about that project.
These are just a few of the projects planned in the 9th Street area. For more information, go to louisvilleky.gov or visionrussell.org. Thanks for watching this episode of the 502 Report. Until next time, take care.